All right, hello, and welcome back to the first ever NFL Super Friends. All together, you see us on ChaseThomasPodcast.com, the new revamped site. It's live, it's big, it's been a long time coming. Very, very excited for all of that, and this is just going to be a really, really fun project. And no Evan Sowards last week, but JP, Jarrett, and I had a lot of fun. Evan, you weren't around for just Jarrett. Jarrett was trying to nuke the pod right out of the gates here with some of these one-liners. He was on 1,000%. But this is going to be fun. This is a collection of a lot of my most favorite NFL media superstars, and all covering different teams, all different perspective, whether it's down in Florida, whether it's up there in Pittsburgh, whether it's way, way over there in Los Angeles, California. We all bring different NFL perspectives, and I think that's a good thing, and that's a positive thing. But around the room, Jarrett, good evening. How are you?
Hi, I'm doing great. I just want, you know what, I'm going to take my little FaceTime here to give my friend JP Acosta a golf clap for crossing something off his bucket list and appearing on the Athletic Football Show. I'm very happy for you, my friend.
He was
Congratulations.
Great. Yes.
Thank you, guys. It's still kind of weird because I went and listened to it, and I never listen to myself on podcasts. So I'm like, I don't need to listen to myself. I heard myself say this stuff already. Right. But then when I was listening to it, I'm like, oh, that's me. That's pretty cool. That's a really cool thing. So it's cool to chop it up with Robert, talk some ball, which is always very fun. So hopefully we'll have more and more of appearing on podcasts, still doing Super Friends show, because that is where we're at.
Yeah, I mean, JP, I don't know if you know this, but with the New York Times sports section completely removed, going on the Athletic is essentially like being on, you know, the New York Times sports section. Really, it's the same thing at this point.
I'm gonna put what's in the New York Times in my bio.
New York Times contributing podcast here.
Yeah, New York Times sports. So they can't even prove it anymore because it's not there. Yeah. No, but really, all jokes aside, it's no surprise. JP will continue to grow and grow, as will Jarrett. When us old men on the left side of this little Brady Bunch situation,
I was going to say there is kind of a divide here, isn't there?
Yeah, there is an ageism divide here.
You know, our hair will continue to disappear on our head, and your careers will continue to grow.
I was going to say, can't relate. My hair is flowing, and it is lovely.
Right, there is a disparity.
There is a disparity.
Oh, man.
A disparity.
JP, thank you for making this not another aggressively all-white guy podcast. I appreciate you holding it down. Got the team on his back.
We are a walking diversity quota. This is the photo on every college intro
and
paper. Admissions card. This is what they show.
We look like what happens when a Disney show gets rebooted and recast.
Yeah, 100%.
This is the cast of the new Harry Potter movies in about 10 years.
Is he wrong, Lee?
Does that make me Hermione?
Oh, man.
I don't know, but JP's Ron.
JP, that joke was for you and you only, because I know you remember that. Why are they all redhead? Well, anyways, I believe we're here to talk about sports, and I think we should probably do that before Chase starts crying.
Allegedly. We're here to allegedly talk sports.
Congrats on the new website, too, buddy.
Thank you.
Great. It really does look good.
It looks awesome.
I appreciate that. I'm excited, and we'll have a full-on, like, other things are coming to the site, and I don't have a four-team or four-person Brady Bunch thing ready to go yet, so that will be here for next week. So
we hire somebody to make like an intro like that, like the Brady Bunch, but it's just us.
Oh, that's not a bad idea.
It'd be kind of fun.
That's not a bad idea.
We need to get in touch with somebody.
Yeah, I could do it. I could probably make that happen. That's not a bad idea.
I was gonna say, yeah, talk to your people at Blue Wire. I think that they might. I'm sure they have somebody.
Listeners, if you have any proficiency in Adobe Premiere Pro
or that,
Yeah.
What's up? We are a grassroots organization.
Yeah.
we like getting all support we can from the people who support us.
I can shoot one of my old professors a quick text. I think that he might be able to hook us up.
There you go. Well, this is ostensibly an NFL podcast, but this is NL Super Friends, and it's a different kind of NFL podcast that I think nobody else is doing right now, and I think that's fun. It's a different kind of show, and very conversational, very, very fun, and nothing says more fun than Devontae Parker signing an extension with the New England Patriots. And JP, we'll start with you because you talked about this with Robert and D-Hop and New England and Tennessee and what ultimately happens here. With Devontae Parker locking up an extension in New England, with everything that is currently going on with New England, where they sit in the AFC East, and we'll get more into them on this very show, but if he ends up in Tennessee, why do you think that will end up being the case? Do you think it's just a money thing, or do you think there is real opportunity in that offense and what they might do this year? Or if you're him and he picks New England, is that like New England's really going to try and go for it? New England's really maybe going to have a competent top 15-ish offensive DVOA type team. Where are you at in this regard?
If he goes to Tennessee, is entirely for the money.
Mm-hmm.
To me, I think they have more cap space than the Patriots right now. And let's face it, man, that Tennessee offense is going to be horrendous. Mm-hmm. And DeAndre Hopkins is going to catch a lot of passes, which is something he can do while making a lot of money. That's what he wants to do. Go for it. But I think New England would be the best fit for him, even though they extended Devontae Parker, because DeAndre Hopkins is better than Devontae Parker in almost every way. And DeAndre Hopkins can be kind of a outside end receiver. PFF charted him at 72% of his snaps on the outside, but he also played on the inside. He had almost 2 yards per route run. I think he's definitely not the same person he's definitely not the same player that he was a few years back. But if you're the Patriots and you want to give Mac Jones every opportunity to succeed, you want to insulate him with as much playmaking, protection, and play calling as possible, you go out and sign DeAndre Hopkins, say, hey, we're in the middle of an arms race in the AFC East. We do not want to fall behind, especially now with all three of the other AFC East teams having an answer at quarterback that looks really good. You got to do something. You got to figure something out to get the most out of Mac Jones. And adding DeAndre Hopkins would probably get the most out of Mac Jones.
I wonder if how close is he to the Julio zone? Because we know what Julio was, and I watched him at the end in Atlanta, and I was like, he doesn't practice anymore. The snaps were going down tremendously. He was struggling to stay healthy, and Julio is just an all-time. I will always love everything about Julio Jones and what he did for Atlanta and all the joy he gave me as a player. But is he close to that zone based on the last version you've seen of D-Hop in his current age?
Well, I mean, it's tough because the last time we saw him, he didn't play the first 6 weeks of the season. Mm. And by the time he came back, Arizona was basically a train wreck, So I think like I said, he is not the player that he used to be, but he still wins in contested catch opportunities. So that'll help Mac Jones a lot. He can still create separation on the inside against smaller DBs, slower linebackers. He can continue to do that at a really good level. So it's really just about, if he's going to be your best receiver, you can matchup hunt with him. Mm. You can go and put him on, in basketball when they do pick and rolls and you get the big guy and the little guy. That's exactly what you can do with Hopkins and the Patriots. Line them up on the inside. You have Juju Smith-Schuster and Parker who can both play on the outside. You can motion them around, use them in different spots. So I think there's an alleyway for DeAndre Hopkins not to be the same player that he was, but get back to a higher level than he was at last year.
Where do you want him to go, Jarrett? If it's not Tennessee, if it's not New England, where would he go? Does he have any value in Pittsburgh? If he had a really small number, would you want him in Pittsburgh?
Not really. Mm. Yeah, I think that Buffalo is the team that has made sense, but we'll see.
Do they have room for him? I don't even know what their current.
Yes, they
situation.
have room for him.
Okay.
Look, they can move stuff around. If the New Orleans Saints have taught us anything over the past 5 years, is that you have room.
It's true.
And the thing with Buffalo, like, we thought that Gabe Davis would take a big step after his performance against the Chiefs in the divisional round a couple seasons ago. Wasn't the case. It was a lot of like the game against Pittsburgh where he had like 3 catches for 1 trillion yards and 2 touchdowns. It was either that or he was largely just not there. And I think that's why you bring in a guy like Dalton Kincaid, who, yes, he's a tight end, but I mean, he's more or less, a power slot guy. He's going to be, if they don't go out and get somebody like DeAndre Hopkins, if they don't get somebody else, I think Dalton Kincaid's going to be the de facto number 2 to Stephon Diggs. And look, if Gabe Davis is your 3 and they trust Hardy as well, then you can do worse in terms of weapons. But I mean, if DeAndre Hopkins is there, why not go get him? And he's hinted that Buffalo's a place that he would like to be. I think if you're Buffalo, you see what everybody else in the conference has, where, Cincinnati, that seems to be a new thorn in their side. They've got Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd. They've got a ton of weapons. Josh Allen doesn't really have that right now. And if you can get DeAndre Hopkins, you go get DeAndre Hopkins. And I think not being like JP pointed out, I don't think he's a number 1 guy anymore for a contender, but he's a perfect number 2, especially for that team. And a guy who can still, in his last full season, I mean, he's shown he can still win downfield. He can still go get those 50-50 balls. And we know that Josh Allen is a fan of throwing those. So if you're the Bills, I don't see an argument for not going to get DeAndre Hopkins. Now, as a Steelers fan, would I hate if they went out and got him? I guess not. But right now, Deontay Johnson, George Pickens, they already signed out or traded for Allen Robinson to be kind of that veteran.
I forgot about Allen Robinson. Yeah.
Calvin Austin as well. They already have 6, 7 guys who are going to be fighting for roster spots in Pittsburgh. So I like DeAndre Hopkins. I just don't see the reason for the Steelers to be a team to go get him.
Yeah, I will say the Bills right now are at $5 million left in cap space, which is 28th in the NFL. They don't have a lot of room to maneuver, but a team that does not have that same cap constrictions and is desperately in need of a number 1 receiver, Carolina Panthers, if they are serious about saying, hey, we can not only just hey, we can win in year 1, we can win this division in year 1, but we want to get the most out of Bryce Young as a quarterback, you go get a guy who can turn 50-50 balls into 60-40 or 65-35. You get a guy like that.
But what's the point when you have A.J. Terrell in the division? He's not doing anything with A.J. Terrell across.
Okay, anyway, you get a guys like that so you can maximize I wrote about it a lot last year, but you want to maximize the margin for error for these young quarterbacks. You don't want to make it so that every throw they have to make is absolutely perfect or it'll end up being a catastrophe. You want to widen it up a little bit, so you can tell them hey, this throw doesn't have to be perfect. Just put it in the area code of DeAndre Hopkins, and he can turn that into either a contested catch or get DPI. Those will. I mean, Devontae Parker is a DPI master. He can draw defensive pass interferences with the best of them. So the Panthers make a whole lot of sense for DeAndre Hopkins.
And if we're thinking like long-term future and everything, if let's say he does sign in New England, and Mac Jones proves this year that he's really not the long-term future guy, well, there's going to be a certain quarterback in Arizona right now who could possibly be on the go. If the Patriots want to make a move for a quarterback who's a proven talent, maybe Kyler Murray ends up with DeAndre Hopkins in New England 2024. Not out of the realm of possibility.
Kyler in New England would be weird. He doesn't seem like a cold weather quarterback.
He doesn't seem like a Bill Belichick quarterback.
Well, I'm just saying, Kyler's from Texas. He's in Arizona, drafted by the A's, and it just strikes me with A&M and Oklahoma that he's just not going to go New England. He doesn't feel New England cold to me. I think he's going to avoid that.
Him and Bill Belichick would vibe whatsoever.
Yeah. But him and Bill O'Brien would. I think that is a very interesting point. I don't know what happens with Kyler Murray at the end of the season because the Cardinals are going to stink, and I don't know who's going to trade for Kyler Murray. It's still kind of wide open because we don't know.
I have a team right here. They're in Atlanta, Georgia. And I do I am, depending on how things go with Dez, I would not roll out I
have like Evan, 5 teams in my head that I think could be.
Ooh. Well, Evan, close your ears, because I think if Trey Lance comes in the market, I still think the Falcons jump back into the Trey Lance conversations and see what his actual value is.
I would love that.
I still like.
I mean, not the Falcons, because I want him to go somewhere he can actually have a shot at competing for a meaningful season.
Well, oh my God, that was the saddest 49ers quarterback update. Evan has been so beaten by the 49ers quarterback news over the last summer of Sam Darnold still learning the offense and Brock Purdy's ahead of the schedule.
I had to listen to a Sam Darnold interview on Pardon My Take just because of TikTok today, where he was talking about the mono. Did you see that clip where he's like, Sam Darnold out with mono? And I'm just like, no one should be interviewing you right now. You should be a backup quarterback. You should be Andy Dalton right now. I don't want to hear Sam Darnold talk. I don't want to see him on popular podcasts. Yep, no, but you're obsessed with football. You just want to see any type of content related, period.
I also just like Sam Darnold. I was a big Sam Darnold guy coming out of USC.
Okay, yeah, I was also a big Matt Leinart guy coming out of USC, and then he sucked.
He's good on TV.
And we stopped, but we stopped caring about him once he sucked because he sucked. Sam Darnold doesn't deserve this, to even be brought up.
I refuse to be gaslit into Sam Darnold being anything close to the starting quarterback.
But we know he's going to be the NFC Championship starting quarterback for the Niners. We know he finds his way.
Look how he played final month of the season for Carolina.
There's probably going to be a game where either Trey or Brock gets injured.
Probably against Arizona.
Sam Darnold comes in and throws for 400 yards against Arizona just off of dump-offs to Christian McCaffrey and Deebo Samuel. And everybody's going to be like, oh, he's back.
This is what you're going to see if that happens. This is it right here.
What is that?
It'll be dark. You'll never see me again. The box will be gone. The box will be removed. I will be gone somewhere in Antigua on an island, never watching football ever again.
If Sam Darnold throws for 400 yards and wins the game with the 49ers, I want to put Kyle Shanahan in the gold jacket immediately.
If Sam Darnold goes and throws for 400 yards and wins, I will go choke Sam Darnold out. I will do. I swear to God.
Is this before or after you beat up the kangaroo? Is this?
I'll take both of them at the same time. I know it.
Well, at least
first off, I will take out I will absolutely beat up a normal.
Are both of you
kangaroo.
legitimately convinced you could take out a kangaroo?
Yes. They are.
Well, no,
I'm here to tell you can't.
Well, no, hold on. First off, there's video evidence of a man boxing a kangaroo. So now, if you're saying, hey, what happens if he catches you off guard and gets his kick in? Sure. But,
what if I catch him off guard?
I'm a little agile. I feel like he can only go north to south. I think if I push him from the side, he's tipping over.
That's Leonard Fournette. We're talking about Leonard Fournette.
I'm also talking about a kangaroo. I'm talking about Leonard Fournette, but I am also talking about.
Look, man, kangaroo, it's got the kick, but you're assuming that I'm just not going to move out the way of this kick,
right?
We know where it's
going to come. What is it? What is it? Sideline to sideline. What if I keep running in circles?
It's three cone.
Keep trying to go in there. You know what I mean?
Kangaroo's 3 cone. Give me that short subtle time, brother.
I'm just saying. What if I give him a little Hesse, right? A little Hesse. What's he gonna do?
Bob and weave, body shots.
I'm gonna rip some grass out of the ground and I'm gonna throw it up in the air on the left side, and then I'm gonna punch him from the right.
Pocket sand.
I'm taking a backseat on this.
Jarrett, you don't believe you can beat up a kangaroo, right?
No, because I'm a sane human being.
Hold on.
What is the average size kangaroo?
They've got to be huge. Kangaroos are tall.
I feel like they're at least 6'5".
Yeah, I was thinking 6'5" too.
Are you losing your mind? There's literally a video of a man.
Kangaroo height.
6'6".
6'6". There you go.
What? Okay, hold on.
You're stepping into the octagon with a 6'6" kangaroo? Is that what you're doing?
Planet.
The bigger they are, the better it looks on the highlight tape.
Oh, wow.
Look, man.
Are you trying to body slam the kangaroo, or are you going in are you just trying to trap him and bear hug him and then take him down?
I'm putting the kangaroo in a rear naked choke.
I'm not. Here's the thing. I'm not saying I'm not saying that there's no human that can fight. Like if Big Bill from AEW wanted to fight a kangaroo, I bet he could whip some kangaroo ass because he's 7 feet tall and he's built like a package of vacuum sealed sausages. Like he looks great. I don't know if either of you could.
I am beating
a kangaroo's ass.
I am kicking that kangaroo's ass.
I'm looking at photos right now of kangaroos, and I'm not gonna lie to you. There's a couple kangaroos on this Google search.
Look, I've stood
hold on now. Let me get this out. I'm not an insane person. Okay, there are some that look really insane, and I am
just
not gonna
because you
fight.
got muscles don't mean you can fight.
I'm a perfect example of that. I have muscles and probably can't fight, but I will take a kangaroo to the ground. And when I get him on the ground,
them kicks ain't gonna work.
What is he gonna do? Use his arms? The only thing you got to worry about is the claws, maybe.
Do they have claws?
Yeah, I'm putting that son bitch in a rear naked choke.
I'm choking a kangaroo.
No, look, I've stood next to JP Acosta. He is a rather. Like he's what's the word that Kite Man uses in Harley Quinn? He is looming. He is a big muscular man. So, I mean, if I was a kangaroo, I'd probably like watch my back, but I feel like I could probably still.
I'm taking that kangaroo to Suplex City.
See, I'm handling it like I'm handling prison. If I ever end up there, I'm hopping.
You're hopping in the kangaroo's pouch.
I'm hopping in the pouch.
He's putting his hand in the pouch. He's like, I'm holding on to the pocket now.
Now, prison's a whole different thing. I wouldn't survive prison. I would find.
Chase is dipping into the magic bag of tools.
Now, I don't feel like.
What are you reaching in the pouch for?
No, hold on now.
Because pull out of the pouch. It's like door going into the backpack.
The average red kangaroo stands at 4'11". I'm beating that kangaroo's ass.
There's different breeds of kangaroos.
Yes. Large mature males.
I didn't know that either.
At more than 5'9". I'm beating that.
Okay, if you come across a 5-foot kangaroo, then yeah, I like your odds.
I mean, the largest confirmed red kangaroo, is 6'11". And I think huge. At that point, 7 foot tall, you're maybe too tall.
I don't know, man. I don't think you're beating Greg Oden the kangaroo.
Well, Greg Oden got bad knees. That kangaroo got bad knees.
That's where the Hesse's coming in.
Exactly. What's the 3-cone? Show me the 3-cone for this kangaroo.
I suppose I walked right into that one.
It's not moving laterally with me.
He's not. He's absolutely not. Although, wait, listen. I don't want to lie. He's got the tail. It's like a balance situation. You know, you can lean back on the tail, right? It's like a third leg.
I'm gonna swing that muff.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You got to go for the leg.
If folks only happen to tune into the part where Sowards says third leg and JP says, I'm going to swing that motherfucker, they're going to be very confused.
Hey, Chase, this was a great idea, getting all of us on a pod together. It's your fault, man. This was literally your fault. And
this started about Sam Darnold. This was somehow connected to Sam Darnold.
Listen,
you bob and weave and you can take out a kangaroo.
Sam Darnold, big red kangaroo, they're all the same thing, really, if you think about it.
They both have red hair.
Right. And you know what? They would both collapse in an NFC championship game.
Wow.
Well, we do know if Sam Darnold were to swing.
Do you think the Niners would have won the Eagles game with the kangaroo under center?
With the kangaroo under center?
Yeah.
No, because I think that Christian McCaffrey can run better than a kangaroo, and obviously I think they've got basically the same size arm.
I think the kangaroo could throw better than Josh Johnson, though.
Is he using the tail?
Oh,
is he flinging it with the tail?
I mean, it's not against the rules.
I haven't seen Kangaroo Jack in long enough to know if
that is a move.
I don't know if kangaroos have the motor skills to throw a football.
It comes back to the 3-cone.
Can you run the triple with a kangaroo? Can you run the triple?
Can you run the triple?
Hey, you put it as the dive back and the triple. Nobody's gonna want to tackle him.
Can you imagine Debo, a kangaroo, and Christian McCaffrey running towards you at full speed?
I know who I'm taking out. The kangaroo.
The kangaroo.
The kangaroo.
Just darn right.
It certainly ain't gonna be Debo.
I know what the kangaroo's gonna try and do.
Here's my point. Here's what it comes down to. If Christian McCaffrey, Debo Samuel, and a kangaroo with 2 katanas in its hands are running at me, The only chance I have of making it out alive is the kangaroo with the katanas.
Low man wins.
Yeah.
Hitting with a tackle,
Wow.
If it's got swords, its arm's gonna be up here, expecting me to go high. I shoot a double leg takedown. That's a tackle.
Yeah. Oh man. Which actually brings us to how the Washington Commanders are building their football team. Jarrett, when you look at what Washington is doing, and there was a really good piece in the Athletic, the aforementioned Athletic, about how this is like the first time Ron Rivera has built a team this way, where he is able to invest everywhere but quarterback. Your guy Carson Wentz, it obviously did not work out long term.
By the way, where Jarrett was wrong, Carson Wentz and the Commanders being a good thing.
Oof. He's still not signed, right? It's over.
No.
Thank God. I don't want to see that man play quarterback ever again.
I do.
I would also like to see a kangaroo over here.
Enjoy seeing him in Los Angeles this year, pal.
I will have
the only reason
that
Carson Wentz is going to go to Los Angeles is because he's going to be on the NFL Network as like a guest.
If he's going to be on any channel, it's going to be like the outdoor channel, and he's going to like be hunting and whatnot, and that's his TV future, is hunting bear in Alaska, and everybody, like all of our uncles, are going to sit there and be like, God damn, that's a great bear.
I'm surprised he hit the bear.
Somebody commented on the Instagram post and said something like, what if, like something like, I think Nick Foles actually shot the bear and Carson just took credit for it. And I laughed very hard. It was pretty well done.
He meant to hit a duck, but the bear intercepted it.
Poor Carson Wentz.
No poor Carson Wentz.
But when you look at it, Jarrett, and how this team is now put together, they're betting on their first time in a long time. They have a cheap quarterback under center. They're actually going to hand the keys over to Sam Howell. We're going to see what that looks like. Late round pick, had a little bit of time last year. People forget 2 years ago he was the preseason number 1 quarterback prospect. Yep. Like, that is where he was getting the Matt Stafford comparisons everywhere you looked. Everybody wanted to compare Sam Howell to Matt Stafford, but then when you took the mask off, he was Joe Milton all along, as JP so accurately knows. And now the Commanders have talent all over the defense, talent in the wide receiver room, talent in the backfield, and they're kind of the forgotten team in the NFC East, where the Giants are getting a lot of talk. The Eagles, obviously, the top of the top dogs, and the Cowboys, obviously, very top heavy, but should be good as well. Like, how does this work for Ron Rivera and the Commanders this year? And do you like how they've kind of pivoted here going into next year?
Yeah, I talked about this with Amy Trask on the latest episode of The Pump Fake. Go watch that and listen to it if you'd like. I like Sam Howell. I liked him coming out of school, and I think that we do this weird thing in football media where, like, Sam Howell, like you pointed out, 2 years ago was the consensus number 1 guy. He had a junior season at North Carolina, and then everybody on the team worth a piss leaves. He still has a respectable year. It's nothing great. And all of a sudden, Sam Howell sucks, and he falls to the 5th round. I'm not going to sit here and bang the table that he's going to be, an elite top 10 guy, and the Commanders are going to win 14 games. But he throws a pretty deep ball. He's got the talent around him: Terry McLaurin, Jahan Dotson, Curtis Samuel, who, when they signed from Carolina, was like a big deal, but he's been hurt too much for us to really know how he's going to fit in the system. I like Washington. I think defensively they're still built really well, even with the rumors of Chase Young potentially being moved. They still have Deron
Still
Payne.
Really weird, right? Like, I don't understand why. I don't understand that.
Yeah, I mean, like, they didn't pick up the option and whatnot, so I think that they're just, unless he has like some insane year where he has 18 sacks and blows.
But I mean, are they banking on like KJ Henry being the answer there? Like,
I think they're banking.
Who do they?
I think they're banking on somebody that they're going to draft next year if he's not there. They still have a good front with Montez Sweat, Deron Payne, Jonathan Allen. Like, they still have guys on defense and the front seven. Linebacker wise, like, it feels like the past like 3 years they've been trying to figure out an inside linebacker. Now Cole Holcomb isn't there either, so it's going to be Cody Barton. They have Jamin Davis, who's they drafted 2 years ago.
First round.
Yeah, first round guy. And then this past draft, when Christian Gonzalez was right there, they took Emmanuel Forbes instead. So I mean, they're banking on kind of like in the secondary, like boom or bust, where we know Emmanuel Forbes has that instinct and he's going to rely on his instincts a lot to, try to make plays, and it could lead to him getting beat. But, I like what I've seen from Ben St. Juste. Derek Forrest had a solid year last year. So, I mean, they've got some young up and coming talent on that side of the ball, some proven veteran talent, but that are still young on the defensive front. And then offensively, the weapons around Sam Howell to get the job done. So I think everybody is sleeping on the Commanders. Of course, it does depend on how well Howell performs. But I'll tell you one thing, if I had to choose between the Commanders hitting their over or the Giants hitting their over, I would take the Commanders before I took the Giants.
I think I would
What
too.
is the Giants over?
7.5, I believe.
You
don't think the Giants are going to win 7.5 games?
I think the Giants regress.
I think they finished last in the division too. I think
after what their head coach did in their first season, you guys need to relax.
Okay, so I'm going to sound like a really big hater here. But the reason that Sam Howell went from being talked about as like a top pick to being in the 5th round is because he played in that goofy ass offense.
Well, hold on. We already know about your hostility towards different offensive styles, JP.
It's not different offensive styles. He throws a pretty deep ball, yes, but I have yet to see him read a full field. So I'm really curious to see how Eric Bieniemy uses that.
Yeah.
Sam Howell just needs reps. He needs to actually like go play football. He didn't play until like the last game of the season. I'm really curious to see how he looks and also how Eric Bieniemy designs this offense around his strengths. Because one thing that Eric Bieniemy did really well with Patrick Mahomes in Cleveland was he was able to draw teams out east and west, and then you go vertical, and that's where I think guys like Curtis Samuel are going to come in huge because he can draw teams east and west, the jet sweeps, the toss motions. It'll be kind of like shifty McCole Hardman style. And, Jahan Dotson is really good. Terry McLaurin is awesome. It's just like, I just need to see like more of Sam Howell. He and Desmond Ridder in the same like area for me. Is like you just have to like play more football for me to actually kind of believe in you. Because at UNC, you could tell like he did not know how to read a full field. 2, I think he kind of thought he was more athletic than he actually was, and he tried to play hero a little bit. He doesn't have to play hero now. Like you just get the ball to the best guys on the field and figure it out. I think defensively, linebacker is still a huge question.
Big question.
I don't know how truly good Cody Barton is, and Jamin Davis has been kind of rough in the first few years. I really like Emmanuel Forbes in Washington. I don't like it more than like if they could add Christian Gonzalez, but I really like the fit here because like Jarrett said, he has great instincts. And in Jack Del Rio's Tampa 2, he's not going to have to press a lot. He's not going to have to play physical coverage. He can just play off coverage and bait quarterbacks. That is exactly what their zone defense is going to try and do. I think Derek Forrest is potentially going to break out next year. His
quietly had a very good year last year.
His range on the back end is outstanding. And Cam Curl is a very good kind of strong safety. He can play it closer towards the box. I'm curious to see what they do at nickel. Benjamin St. Juste kind of but they're moving him around to nickel some because Kendall Fuller is playing on the outside with Forbes. They have a very fun group of DBs. I'm very intrigued to see what happens with that defense. The offense, I don't believe in Sam Howell until he shows me. The deep ball is cool, but deep ball variance has been shown like the deep ball does not consistently translate year over year.
And I hinted at the Giants stuff real quick, and I know Sowards, didn't like the Giants hate, I guess, but like looking at their schedule last year, they had 2 impressive wins, and it was against the Ravens and against the Jaguars. Everybody else, they lost to the Seahawks. They got blown out when they faced the Eagles in the playoffs. They lost to the Cowboys. Like there's nothing.
They did beat the Vikings in the playoffs. Like that's got to count for something. If you're gonna say they lost to the Eagles in the playoffs, they did beat the Vikings to get there with Daniel Jones, with Isaiah Hodgins.
Who we've also agreed on, though, that the Vikings were just pure chaotic plus, like the absolute perfect situation of 11 one-score win games that just happened to fall their way. And we all knew that, okay, this team's record is definitely not who they are. And the consensus of people was like, okay, if there's going to be an upset this week, it's definitely going to be the Giants beating the Vikings. And lo and behold, it happened. I'm not trying to take away too much from Minnesota, but at the same time, like, I think that like last year, I think is what the Giants' ceiling is with Daniel Jones is a plucky win in the wild card round before getting demolished by a real team with Super Bowl aspirations in the divisional round.
But I do understand that. I kind of look at what they brought around Daniel Jones, like we said, like last year they were playing with Isaiah Hodgins and Richie James as their leading two receivers. They go out and get Darren Waller. Darius Toney is at Keith now, but they're going to have their guys healthy again, and Saquon will hopefully be back. But if Brian Daboll and Mike Kafka can turn what they did last year into a playoff team, I have no reason to not believe that they can do the same thing this year with a better team. And the defense is going to be better because the defense was filled with a bunch of young guys. Kayvon Thibodeau is going to play out of his mind this year. Dexter Lawrence is an all-pro. And, the secondary is going to come along. I think the secondary is going to come along as they go. But Wink Martindale had those guys playing really good. I struggle to see like them getting their under on that win total. I think they go over.
I think they'll be competitive, and if they do go under, I don't think it's going to be a lot. I think they'll be best case scenario for me. They're 9 wins. Worst case scenario, they're like 6 wins. But let me run through their schedule real quick. Just rapid fire. They start off with the Cowboys at home, then they go to Arizona, to San Francisco, host the Seahawks, then they travel to Miami, to Buffalo, host Washington for the first time, host the Jets, travel to Vegas, travel to Dallas, travel to Washington, host New England, host Green Bay, to New Orleans, to Philadelphia, home for the Rams, home for the Eagles. There's a bunch of really good teams on that schedule.
Yeah, and there's still a bunch of teams like the Packers who we don't know who they're going to be, and
you guys, it's the Commanders. Like, why did you just spend 10 minutes talking about the validity of a Washington Commanders season?
Like, there's a path to them being 10-7. I think
there is too.
I
think there is too.
Whoa. I do not think there's a path.
You guys need a reality check.
I'm not saying it's going to happen. I think that there's a path that it could.
Yeah.
There's also a path that they win the Super Bowl. It doesn't mean it's
I don't know if there's
I don't think that there's a path to that. Yeah.
I don't know.
Sam Howell is a second-year quarterback that has decent weapons, maybe at best. Their defense is much better than their offense. And you have Ron Rivera, who has not been able to show that he can recreate what he used to do in a very long time. Everyone has all the respect in the world for Ron Rivera, and yet he keeps making terrible decisions with his team. Like that, they have. If you put that defense on a team with a like reasonable coaching staff, they would maybe have one of the best defenses in the NFL, like arguably right now. Period. They are an embarrassment of like talent wasted.
I just wonder for them to get to 10 wins, how good does Sam Howell have to be? Like
better than.
I mean, they got to what was it, 8 wins last year with Taylor Heineke for most of the season.
That's
so he
true.
has to be a little bit better than Taylor Heineke.
And people forget they beat the Eagles in Monday Night Football.
They sure did.
Oh my god.
Yeah, but like you don't look at last season and what they did and go, oh, that's like normal or repeatable.
I mean, they were on pace to be a playoff team at one point.
That's what I'm saying. I think they're a high floor team. I think they're a low ceiling, high floor.
I like yes. And by the way, Washington defense last year 9th in defensive DVOA. So I mean, they were already one of the best defenses in football last year.
Yeah.
I gotta see it with Sam Howell. I don't know how good he has to be for them to actually be competitive because we haven't seen him at all.
Yeah.
I would like to see how good he actually is in an NFL offense before, like actually having to make like actual reads before I make any judgment about like the Commanders getting to 10 wins, because until we actually see what the quarterback looks like, They are firmly the fourth best team in that division.
Washington also 28th in offensive DVOA last year. I think getting Bieniemy in there, well, I think having Bieniemy at least raises that. And if Sam Howell is equally as good as Taylor Heineke, or just a little bit better, which I think he'll be, I think that obviously the ceiling for Howell is probably higher than that of Heineke. I think that there is definitely a path where they're in the wild card hunt. I'm not saying it's 100% going to happen.
What is your percentage chance that they have a better season than the Giants?
Oh, I would say like 60%.
I think Chase is a little bit higher on them than me. I'd say it's probably like 50-50. I just think that the Giants are going to take a step back. Like there's going to be
the Eagles take a slight step back. I think the Cowboys win the NFC East and they go like.
Well, I guess right. I gotta forget this. Before I forget, I am having Chase talk about.
They're the number one seed favorite right now. They're the favorites for the number one seed in the NFC going into this year. Like the Cowboys are the favorites.
As everyone knows, the Cowboys do really well with expectations.
We are doing this again. And
every time.
Chase, do you want to hear? Oh, hold on. Do you want to hear a fun stat?
Yes.
The last time that the Cowboys made the playoffs in 3 consecutive seasons was 1994 to 1996.
So, like, with the Cowboys, I
tough.
see the vision. That defense is going to rock this year.
Yeah.
That defense is awesome. They have so many guys in the defensive backfield where they play a lot of dime, but they can get away with it because of how athletic and how fast those guys are. You know, they were getting good play out of Israel Mukamu at the nickel spot, and they were having them run to be the Tampa 2 middle hook dropper, which was awesome. Dan Quinn has turned his like entire perception around in NFL circles. And really it's just, what is this offense going to look like? How much of
are they the best 11 personnel team in the NFC?
No.
No?
No.
Brandon Cooks, Michael Gallup, CeeDee Lamb?
As long as San Francisco exists, and as long as Philadelphia exists, there is no other skill position like talent group. Maybe Seattle. Maybe I'd put Dallas.
I would take Seattle's group before I took Dallas's.
Really?
Absolutely. The Cowboys don't have any juice, man. Like we saw that very clearly. Outside of
CeeDee is kind of slept on now.
Outside of CeeDee, I like CeeDee Lamb a lot. Outside of CeeDee Lamb, we saw in that 49ers playoff game, they got no juice whatsoever. Nothing.
I do think getting Michael Gallup back at 100% will help. I don't think he's like a juice guy, but he'll win a little more of the 50-50 balls at Dak.
Brandon Cooks is consistent.
Brandon Cooks is still like he's still got juice.
Yeah.
That is their juice guy. That's why they went and traded a pick for him to be their juice guy. My biggest question.
You know him and Stephon Diggs are the same age, by the way. I thought Brandon Cooks was like 32.
No,
that is weird.
He's not
old.
It's just he's been on so many teams now. It's like guys seem like they're older when they've bounced around a lot because you're just like they've stuck around.
Allen Robinson's also only 29, by the way.
It's like you have to understand though that like going through that many offensive coordinators and that many different schemes and teams, like I do think that wears on receivers a lot more than a guy who's been on the same team, it's different mentally. I think it adds a lot.
Yeah, but
the thing with Dallas that JP was pointing out too is like, what's this offense going to look like? Because Mike McCarthy's outdated ass offense that pissed off Aaron Rodgers so much that he ended up getting fired.
Hey, the good news
with Brian Schottenheimer as coordinator.
That's the question that I have though.
That's the good
news. How much of Kellen Moore was this offense, and how much of it was Mike McCarthy? It feels like there was like. It feels like every time the Cowboys offense did good, it was Kellen Moore. But every time they did bad, it was Mike McCarthy. Who really was like the architect behind this offense? And I think we're going to figure out with Kellen Moore in Los Angeles.
Well,
very quietly, Los Angeles and Dallas ran the same kind of offense. Dallas was just much better in short yardage situations because they had the ability to run the ball.
And that's the gamble that Dallas made and that no one wants to talk about. Like we've talked about it endlessly, but like, Chase, like, they have the number one, whatever ranking right now. Like Dallas gambled on the young, fresh minded offensive, quarterback, then to coordinator, that he was not in fact what was making the offense successful and that Mike McCarthy can be that. And now, if that gamble
or Scott Tolzien,
if that by the way, shout out to Scott Tolzien. I have a 49ers legend. I have a photo with him in Vegas somewhere.
Do you really?
Yeah, it was super weird. My buddy went to like high school with him or something in Chicago, and we're like just so happened to all be partying together.
I thought you like pointed him out. You're like, Scott.
No,
He's like,
no, my buddy was like, "You're a Niners fan, right? Come here, Scott." Whatever. I was like, "Was Harbaugh awesome?" He's like, "Dude, he's so cool." No, but like they gambled on that they can recreate what they did last year, and now if that gamble goes wrong, they have one of the worst offensive minds that any like statistically one of the worst. Schottenheimer is terrible.
I think it matters less when you have the best quarterback in the conference. Like Dak, I think is almost
saying you have the best quarterback in the conference when you're in the NFC East is like, come on, man. Dak's a good quarterback. He's a great quarterback, but like saying the best quarterback in the NFC East.
Well, I'm just saying
I think they have
it
the
helps.
Best quarterback in the NFC. Period.
Right, that would have made more sense. I'm just saying, like the saying in the NFC East is like, "Hey, my apartment in this burning building is the nicest." Like,
well, I think it's either him or Jalen Hurts right now, but I still would take Dak I bet you. I wonder if we could get like Howie Roseman like off the record, be like, the price is the same. You can flip Dak for Jalen right now. Would you do it? I wonder what he would do.
I don't think many people would. You are always going to take youth. Jalen is also like. What he did from year 1 to year 2 is a big improvement. So you obviously want to keep seeing what happens. Dak has literally been in some of the best, like he's had some of the best offensive lines. He's had really great receivers. He's had a lot of great things. Not that Jalen Hurts doesn't, but you obviously want to see what the trajectory is of Jalen Hurts.
I mean, he completed 70% of his passes, 37 TDs, 10 picks, 4,500 yards in 2021. Like, I don't know if Jalen's never touching that. Jalen's not touching that.
Oh,
I don't think
Jalen will never have.
Jalen's numbers last year. Here's the thing with Jalen though. Jalen and Dak play two completely different styles.
This is also true.
So, what Dak does throwing the ball, like that value can just be maximized by Jalen being as good of a rusher as he is. That's really what makes the Eagles' offense go. Outside of having the best offensive line in football, Jalen Hurts' ability to run the ball, forcing defenses into conflicts. That's basically how they beat the 49ers defense last year. They had the 49ers in a conflict because of the RPOs and Jalen's run game, and then they just run zone away at Javon Kinlaw, who couldn't get off a block to save his life. But I think Dak Prescott is very much we're gonna Tony Romo Dak Prescott, and I don't like it at all.
Do you know who his numbers are the closest to his first 3 years in the NFL on Per Football References?
Tony Romo.
No.
Who is it?
Hold on, let me look at them and see if I can think of something.
Who is it?
Is that a recent quarterback?
He recently retired a couple years ago.
Phillip Rivers.
Phillip Rivers.
No. Andrew Luck.
Oh boy.
4 years, Matt Ryan.
But yeah, I think Dak is one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. I think he's probably the best quarterback in the NFC, and if he's not the best, he is very clear-cut second best. I wonder what the long-term health of that offensive line is. They were very banged up last year, and you keep moving. Oh my gosh, I cannot believe I'm blanking on his name. The rookie guard last year from Tulsa, who they moved it from guard to tackle
I'm
to guard.
also blanking on his name. Hold on.
Smith? Tyler Smith?
Tyler Smith.
Tyler Smith. It's Tyler
What is
Smith.
his name? Tyler Smith, right?
Tyler
Yeah.
Smith.
Okay.
Yeah.
They kept moving from guard to tackle.
Yeah.
They had Jason Peters come in. They had Tyron Smith playing right tackle for a lot of the season. They need to figure out the continuity. And I think having Terrence Steele back healthy will help the continuity. He'll play at right tackle. You got to figure out a spot for Tyler Smith. I think he'll probably slot in at left guard. And you let Tyron Smith play left tackle because if he's healthy, he's still very, very good. So getting that offensive line consistently healthy is going to be a huge thing. And again, I just wonder, what is the offense going to look like, and how congested will this offense be? Is it going to be the same thing as last year where Dak is having to make superhuman throws just to keep this offense afloat because of how congested the offense was? Or will Brandon Cooks provide enough juice to allow CeeDee Lamb to kind of work the slot in the underneath areas where he just killed defenders last year? So I don't know if I'm high on the Cowboys, but I think they are very firmly the second best team in that division.
Ooh. All right. This might be an NFL Super Friends bet before the year. The Cowboys versus the Eagles. Who wins the NFC East? We might need to revisit this. This is going to be good when we do our NFC East preview. Speaking of previews here, though, as our main event here on tonight's show, as we continue our series, we did AFC South last week. This week, it's can this division, the AFC East, can this team win the Super Bowl next year? Evan Sowards, the Miami Dolphins, a lot of ex-49ers South in a lot of ways, the way they're building down there. Vic Fangio now calling the defense. Running backs galore, maybe the fastest, most interesting wide receiver room in football, just with what they can do and how they play. And I'm curious, do you think they can win the Super Bowl in 2024? Best reason for, best reason against? Is this a pivotal, if they don't do it this year, then it's probably not going to work out with Tua in this regime? Where are you at?
Yeah, I mean, I would have not judged them whatsoever for finding someone over Tua this season. I can understand why they want to give it one more shot. It feels like 2019 with Jimmy G in San Francisco, but so be it. I think they have an incredible team. They have so many fun pieces on both offense and defense. I've loved the big swings that they've taken. Getting Tyreek Hill has been just huge. But low key, their defensive additions have been really important as well. Getting Vic Fangio is awesome. Vic Fangio is just, I think, one of the best defensive coordinators of our time. He every time has just shown he can make things work no matter what type of environment he's in when it comes to the defense. And he's just got really good pieces there. So I think this is their best shot. Unfortunately, because I do love Mike McDaniel, I do think this is kind of like a big moonshot for Tua. I think if they don't get Tua, this was the year that Aaron Rodgers went somewhere, right? This was the year that, there a lot of pieces were made. And I just don't know, like, I maybe you guys can answer this, but like, what would be your offseason plan if you're a 10, 11, 12 win team that needs a quarterback?
I mean, if you're a 12-win team, you probably don't need a quarterback. You just ran into one of the really good teams in the AFC, and you got bounced. I'm looking forward to seeing the Dolphins defense, though, man. I think that having Fangio, there's so many guys that they have in the defensive front that just fit what Fangio does, because like they're not going to blitz as much with Fangio, but Christian Wilkins is a guy that can win. Bradley Chubb can win. Jalen Phillips, they're expecting big things from him. Obviously, they acquired Jalen Ramsey. I always forget who's the linebacker that they got, JP.
David Long.
David Long, yes, they got him as well to secure the middle of their defense. That was a weakness for them last season. Yeah, I think the defense is going to be really fun. And Evan pointed out like the weapons that they have offensively. Like we know how good that Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle are. Yeah, it just comes down to one: can Tua stay on the field, and can he continue to be as efficient as he was last year?
So, I'm really kind of being the hater. This episode, I'm not going to say like the Dolphins are going to be bad. I think they're going to be very good, but I do have a couple of major questions. One, how quickly is that adjustment for the defense is going to happen? They're going like, this is a polar opposite of what they used to do. They were very 3-4 heavy, blitz heavy, cover one man under Josh Boyer and, oh my gosh, Brian Flores. Now you go to Vic Fangio, who is more of a quarters coverage, the zone match, man match. I wonder how quickly that adjustment is going to take in like real time, especially along the defensive line, because those body types up front are more gap penetrators than gap controllers. I think Jalen Phillips is going to wreck shit this year off the edge. But I do wonder how that interior of the defensive line is going to adjust to play a completely different style. I wonder about the linebackers still. I think David Long was fine. I think he had some fun moments in Tennessee, but it will be interesting to see how he adjusts to being in this defense. I think Jerome Baker, I still have a lot of questions about. And then, of course, the big questions, is if Tua can stay healthy. But my biggest question is, near the end of the season, I think teams started to figure out how to not stop the offense, but slow it down.
Yeah.
What will be the counterpunch now for Miami?
Braxton Berrios.
I think they started finding it a little bit as we got later on into the season with getting more into the ground game and kind of punishing defenses for playing a lot of man by using motion to create advantages in the run game. I wonder how Tua's going to adjust to teams playing more man against him, because he destroyed zone last year because everybody was so fast and his processing is so quick where he just got the ball out into the hole of the zone extremely quickly. But against man, his numbers dropped. So I do wonder, how is he going to perform against man coverage now that everybody knows, oh, we're going to play man against you now? So I think they are a very interesting team to watch. Best case scenario, they probably win that division. Like, best case scenario.
Can they win the Super Bowl, though? If Tua's healthy, can they win the Super Bowl?
Personally, I don't think so.
I'm going to say hesitant.
I think I say yes, too. If Tua's healthy and this group, and I bet on the talent. I will say, Mike White being the Tua backup, I did not love that. I did not love that being the Skylar Thompson insurance come playoff time. Like, I thought they could have done better. I think they could have addressed it more.
I think
they had better with Teddy.
Yeah.
I think Mike White played better than Teddy. Played better than Teddy last year.
But like Taylor Heineke or something, or at least in I don't know.
There was like a 2-week stretch where everybody in New York media was praising Mike White as the second coming because he played really well against the Jets or against the Bears when they had Nate Peterman in at quarterback. And I was like, holy fucking hell.
He played pretty well for like 2 or 3 weeks. But the reason why they went and got Mike White is because, one, you know that he can operate an offense. 2, you know that he's not going to completely go haywire if things fall apart. He's got kind of that freebirdness to him. You know, if things start to shut down, he's going to go freebird mode. It's not always going to work for him because he's just not that caliber of athlete or quarterback. But, I don't mind the signing. I think I'm hesitantly saying to them being Super Bowl contenders because it's just going to be so hard to stop this offense. It's going to take so much attention going everywhere. And if the defense if they can go from being one of the bottom 10, 15 defenses in the league to being at least in the middle of the pack, maybe top 12, you're going somewhere.
It's also the AFC. And I think after last year, we just have to kind of be easy on the predictions because who the hell knows what's going to happen.
The AFC is going to be a bloodbath.
Yeah.
This is a division that now has Aaron Rodgers in it, although I don't know how much that moves the needle. He demands some kind of respect, I guess.
I'm going to be such a hater.
I don't think
Are you going to be a hater on all 4 AFC East teams?
No, I'm not going to be a hater on all 4 AFC teams. I just am going to be a hater on the Jets.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
Well, let's hold the Jets for a second. Because I have them. I think the Jets are going to be the most interesting here of this because I think we're going to be on opposite sides with the Jets here. The Bills, though, you got the helmet right behind you, Jarrett. The case for the Bills winning the Super Bowl, not making the Super Bowl. A lot of weird stuff with Stephon Diggs this offseason. Josh Allen out here dating actors. Like, we've got a different kind of system, obviously, with Ken Dorsey versus what Brian Daboll did. A little bit rocky last year. We'll see if they're able to bounce back in the sense of like, hey, yeah, they still won the playoffs, they still won the division, but like they took a step back, and Josh Allen took a step back last year. Still top 5, top 10-ish quarterback, somewhere in that range.
I'd say top 2.
He's top 2. He's top 2.
No, over who? Joe Burrow? Joseph Burrow? No, Joseph Burrow. No one's taking Josh Allen over Joseph Burrow. No. We can't do that. Joe Burrow has surpassed him.
I used to be a Joe Burrow over Josh Allen, but
Wait, you think you? I mean, listen, no,
look,
like
Josh.
No
Allen
question.
Josh Allen is the only quarterback outside of Patrick Mahomes that can go absolutely supernova and win a game by himself, like Patrick Mahomes.
But that's the whole thing. You want one of the two to be the supernova type, and the other to just be like the Brady Joe Montana type, and that's Joe Burrow. Like he's the alternate. Yeah,
that's
Joe
fine.
Joe Burrow's more efficient. Josh Allen is more talented and the better quarterback.
Ooh, yeah.
It's just
Josh Allen's way more exciting.
It's just the thing with Josh Allen, and I guess
this is hurting my feelings.
My thing with the Bills. Actually, I'll let Jarrett go before I get to my my little hating segment on the Bills, I guess.
I cannot believe he's going negative on all the AFC East teams. One of the best divisions in football. He's out on everybody. Jarrett, go.
Yeah, no. I'm an honorary member of Bills Mafia. Mm-hmm. So I think what doesn't get talked about enough is just everything that the Bills went through last season. And that's not an excuse for how poorly they played against Cincinnati at home, nonetheless. But they didn't have Micah Hyde. They lost Jordan Poyer for a good portion of the season where he was in and out of the lineup. They lose Von Miller. Tre'Davious White wasn't healthy until Thanksgiving. Like, roster-wise, when they're healthy, you look at all the talent they have on that side of the ball, all of their best players missed some time, and they were never healthy all at the same time. They bring in Leonard Floyd as well to shore up this pass rush that desperately needs something outside of Von Miller, because we've seen, Greg Rousseau, he's a guy at Oliver. He's an above-average guy, but that they've drafted defensive front very heavy the past few seasons, and none of them have really panned out to be anything special. And then offensively, what's Ken Dorsey going to do to rebound from last season? Because you talk about playing in Freebird mode. The Bills played with like balls to the wall playing at all times last season. It was all or nothing. Like the quintessential example of that is against Minnesota, and that game that shouldn't have been in overtime to begin with, where they're marching down the field, and Josh Allen has a dump off to Devin Singletary out of the backfield just to get a few yards, and he throws it into like quintuple coverage, and it's intercepted to end the game. Like there's no take the layup, play for another day. And I think that that's something that he needs to get back to doing. He was much better at doing when Brian Dable was there. He needs to just, this isn't all or nothing. We don't have to throw. We don't have to do a Hail Mary on 2nd and 2 in the first quarter. We can take the layups. And if everybody stays healthy, I think they still have, arguably the best safety tandem in football with Hyde and Poyer, Tre'Davious White. Hopefully Kyer Elam takes a step forward as well. They got guys. Matt Milano, outside of Fred Warner, is the best inside linebacker in football. Offensive line got a little bit better. I'm sorry, JP, what?
That Matt Milano being the second best inside linebacker. I think he's third, but I respect it.
It's like, Jesus, I'm sorry, JP.
We're not going to disrespect Roquan Smith, but I definitely see where you're going with the Bills. I think the reason for saying like the Bills win the Super Bowl is they have the quarterback, and if you have the quarterback, you can go really far.
If you got 17, you got 15, you got 9, you got a shot, and they've got one of those guys.
Why did it feel like their season ended when Von Miller got hurt last year?
Because it did.
Because defensively, this is my biggest question for the Buffalo Bills. Is this defense built to win a Super Bowl? And
Sean McDermott's calling the plays this year too. Leslie Frazier gone, so we're going to find out.
How much different is what Sean McDermott has done as a play caller than what Leslie Frazier has done? Sean McDermott is a defensive coach. He was probably in those meetings helping form to be what that defense was. That defense, one, lacked pass rush. Of course, losing Von Miller hurts. But going from – if you're 33-year-old Von Miller away from being a non-factor in pass rush department, that's probably a problem. I think Leonard Floyd's going to help out, but they need AJ Epineza and Boogie Basham to actually live up to the first and second round picks that they use on them consecutively.
I mean, hey, there's a Washington Commanders pass rusher who is available via trade reportedly. Buffalo Bills trade for Chase Young. I think that would be a very smart move for Brandon Beane.
I just wonder how is this defense like built to succeed? I think schematically they are very much a let the offense come to you. We will suffocate you and only force you to take the short throws. But when it gets down into the playoffs, it's very much sounding like can they do it in a cold, rainy night in Stoke. They kind of got blown off the ball in the run game by the Cincinnati offensive line, which up until
the Cincinnati offensive line playing some backups as well. Like they got manhandled.
They were banged up and they got manhandled. So I just wonder, one, is this defense actually going to show up? You know, is this going to be a team where they're always going to be one of the best teams in the regular season and the defense just falls apart in the playoffs? Because that's how they are built. They are built to take away explosives, which is great, but they're going to allow you to dink and dunk. And if you allow them to play dink and dunk, there are teams that can beat you playing dink and dunk. The Chiefs are a great example of that. That's the team they're going to be competing with. My next question is, how much of the offense is like, I don't want to blame Ken Dorsey for all of it because I think what he did with the offense actually was pretty good. I just wonder if the hell or high water, high variance of the offense, that's a part of the Josh Allen feature. That's
high variance.
That's a part of the video game. That's a part of what you get with Josh Allen. All the crazy throws, you're gonna get. I'm not gonna throw this check down because I think I can make this throw, and you're just gonna have to live with it. I think the big question is Dalton Kincaid going to be the legit number 2 that they need? They needed someone who can create any separation outside of Stephon Diggs and be a reliable target, because you need someone outside of him to catch passes. Gabe Davis is far too inconsistent, and behind him, I think Khalil Shakir is fun, but I don't think he's like moving a needle. You need Dalton Kincaid to be kind of that intermediate guy. You need him to be someone who can create separation and create mismatches. They're going to run a lot of 12 personnel this year. I think that is where the NFL is going to go. 12
personnel is back, baby.
12 and 21 personnel. Offense is getting bigger. Defense is getting bigger. We are moving back to 2000.
Arthur Smith, just an innovator all across the board.
Sure, I'll give you that. I think Arthur Smith is great. But I wonder what this defense is going to look like, and is this defense reached its limit?
That's
all fair questions.
Evan.
To put my final touches on it, can they win the Super Bowl? Yes.
There you go. JP, can they win the Super Bowl?
Yes.
I think I say yes too. Evan, do you think the Bills can win the Super Bowl this year?
Yeah, I mean they've been so consistently good and done a lot of things the right way. And even when they slipped up last year a little bit, they really, they're a dominant team. They're one of those teams where you're like every year they're like they could have won the Super Bowl. They should have won the Super Bowl. So I'm not going to take them out of that conversation. But there's just the top heavy teams right now are so like, I don't know if it's every year in the NFL and it just seems like a moment right now, but like the teams that you put on a list right now that you could think rationally could win a Super Bowl is pretty impressive. And it's really hard to pick one. And I will say this, it's hard to say this against the Chiefs, but like no team that I think could make it to the Super Bowl is perfect by any means. Sure. Like I think they, even the Chiefs, you could go, well, this is how they would lose if they lost, right? Like, and I think that's the same point with the Bills, right? Like they get close, but it's just tough to win a Super Bowl, let alone get there, let alone win your division. And they're not prone to making mistakes, but they're definitely a damn good team.
I like it. The Jets, Evan. Aaron Rodgers enters the fold. Talent all across the board. Maybe a reach in the first round, depending on who you ask. With the Iowa State kid, the edge. And Jarrett putting his fingers up for that one.
I'm so directionally challenged right now. It's not even funny.
There it is. I was like, I didn't know he was doing the Brian Windhorst meme. And I couldn't tell what he... Yeah. But the Jets, I think, are maybe going to be the toughest team of the 4 to forecast and whether or not they can win the Super Bowl in the case for and against. But I land yes, they can win the Super Bowl this year. And it's crazy because they just need to make the playoffs because I think they have the longest playoff drought, right, in the NFL. Is it?
They haven't made it since 2010, 2011.
That's the longest, right? I feel like
it's the longest.
Yeah. And I just wonder how high of a floor Aaron Rodgers immediately puts this team at with an elite defense, with a pretty solid receiving core with a healthy Mekhi Becton, with a healthy, why am I blanking on the Iowa State running? Breece Hall.
Mm-hmm.
I think there is a path to the Jets being really, really good right away.
We're leaving out a very important factor in this entire Jets thing.
What is that?
Is Nathaniel Hackett a good coordinator?
But I don't think it. What if it's Aaron Rodgers calling plays? What if it's the Peyton Manning system in Denver the last couple of years?
The last time Aaron Rodgers called plays, the Packers missed the playoffs.
Yeah.
Aaron Rodgers was calling his own shots last year, and it made the offense entirely more inefficient.
And that's funny, too, because the head coach, who is a play caller himself, is a better play caller than Nathaniel Hackett.
He was the one calling plays in Green Bay. Nathaniel Hackett was just Aaron Rodgers' friend.
It's impossible.
He made Chewbacca noises, and Aaron Rodgers was like, "Oh, this guy's awesome."
No, I think it's pretty obvious here. Nathaniel Hackett's clearly his drug guy. That's why he keeps him around. He's the guy that gets the good shrooms, and that's the only reason why Aaron was like, "I got to get back with Hackett." There's no way you can even consider the Jets as a Super Bowl contender.
Coming to theaters in 2025, Nathaniel Hackett and the Magic Mushroom.
It's the worst Disney movie ever. In the same, especially after what happened with Russell Wilson in Denver, you can't even put Rodgers in that conversation. He has an entirely different setup now than what he had in Green Bay. He has always, obviously getting to become the starter over Brett Favre, it was probably a lot for him to have to deal with as a young quarterback. But since then, he's been the king of Green Bay. He's been the king of a tiny town in one of the smallest states in the country. And now he's going to New York. And I hate the New York media storyline, but this is a guy that's into chakras and dark retreats and going to Burning Man and being the man that's burning. And I just,
he did a psychedelic. He did a psychedelic
a conference.
Yeah, like a conference. He was a guest speaker.
I just don't think that this. You know what it reminds me of? You remember, what was it, Major League?
Yeah.
What was the guy's name?
Oh shoot.
He got all Buddhist.
Oh man,
I never saw Major League.
Oh my God, how have you of all people not seen Major League?
I don't know why. I don't really have a good reason. It just never came about.
He played Pedro Serrano. To shout out to Dennis Haysbert.
Yeah. I know what you're talking about.
But absolutely, first off, watch the movie, Chase. You of all people, that is one of your movies. It's not it's literally a movie that's made for you. I don't understand how you've not seen it. But in the movie, Pedro Serrano in the first movie is this really, really good baseball player. And then the second movie, when they start winning and they get popular and, they blow up, blah, 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 he gets really into Buddhism, and he's so timid and calm that his Japanese teammate has to teach him that you have no ball. He says, you have no marbles. You don't have you know what I mean? And that's what I think Aaron Rodgers is. I don't really know if Aaron Rodgers is going to be the kind of guy to go into the New York City and lead that team. There's so much going on. There's so much noise. I just don't see it.
Can I flip it the other way, though, with what Ian O'Connor of ESPN, he was on Cowherd's show last week, the podcast, and he made an interesting point about why Eli thrived in New York and why Mark Sanchez, he didn't mention Mark Sanchez specifically, but it's there's certain New York quarterbacks who work and certain ones who don't. And the reason Eli worked, I don't know why I said it like that, Eli worked was because Eli was just completely ignorant and just completely detached from what was going on in the tabloids. I think he told the story of Archie having to call him about something Tiki said in the news, and he was like, Eli, you have to have an answer. You have to be ready for this. And I think those are the kind of guys, Aaron Rodgers, I don't think is the best example of this, and we'll see how he ends up doing with it. But I think the detached, isolated, doing my own thing, don't really care about the New York stuff. Those kind of guys, generally speaking, do the best. I mean, Derek Jeter was as detached as it comes. He was just, I'm never going to say anything. I'm never going to do anything. And I'm just going to keep my head down and just be really, really good at baseball for a really long time.
So what I will say about the Jets, not being a hater this time, they almost made the playoffs with Chris Streveler at quarterback.
Yeah.
If you just get Aaron Rodgers to play at a midline level, you'll probably make the playoffs. But that's
also, Brett Favre was really good before he got injured that year.
That's not the aspiration here for the Jets. They want to win the Super Bowl. And again, my biggest question is if Nate Hackett is as good of an offensive coordinator as Aaron Rodgers believes he is, and will Aaron Rodgers want to get back to being the point guard playmaker that helped him win 2 MVPs? You know, I think last year he was a little bit frustrated, and now it's very obvious. And his deep ball accuracy kind of waned, and you could tell because he's just getting older. You know, you're not. Garrett
Wilson should help that though, right?
Yeah, the receivers should help with that. But unless you're Tom Brady, your arm is going to get weaker as you get older. So I do wonder what Aaron Rodgers, 39-year-old Aaron Rodgers, 40-year-old Aaron Rodgers, is going to look like now. But if they can just get a midline level Aaron Rodgers, they make the playoffs. Because that defense is absurd. Yeah. Like, they don't have many holes at all.
That's why they could just take a chance at like a McDonald. They could reach there where it's like,
he's a third down pass rusher. They don't have a lot of guys who win with speed. They have a lot of guys that win with power outside of Bryce Huff. Will McDonald's going to win with speed and counters?
I like it. What do you think, Jarrett?
I like the Jets. I think that they'll be at minimum in the conversation of being a wild card team or, you know, one of those in the hunt. I think that's their floor is in the hunt. And I think that do I think that they can win the Super Bowl year one with Aaron Rodgers? When you got Rodgers, it's hard to ever rule anybody out completely. So, I mean, I'll say hesitantly yes. But you know, you got Garrett Wilson. Lazard came over. He's, you know, a viable guy in that offense as well. The offensive line still has a few question marks. Like, they were absolutely going to take Broderick Jones until Bill Belichick gave him a big old middle finger and gave him to Pittsburgh. Mekhi Becton, hopefully he can stay healthy.
They're going to be starting a rookie center.
Yep. So, like, those are, you know, definitely a few question marks you have. But like JP pointed out, that defense, man, like, you got Sauce, you got DJ Reed, you got Quinn Williams, you got, like, there's almost no holes there whatsoever, man. Like, they're going to be really good.
Yeah, the best tackler in the NFL, Quincy Williams.
Shout out Quincy Williams.
Shout out Quincy Williams, former Jag legend, best tackler in the game.
There you go. Final team here, the Patriots. JP, it's time for you to hate on the Patriots.
Okay, so first thing I'm going to say, I'm actually.
Oh.
The reason they make
We're never going to know.
There he is. The reason they make Super Bowl is that offense gets back to, or just gets to at least a above average level. You know, the defense last year finished third in DVOA. Like, that defense is still absolutely phenomenal. And as long as Bill Belichick is head coach, that defense will remain phenomenal. Their biggest problem last year was they only had corners that were 5'11" or shorter. You add Christian Gonzalez to that, and boom, there you go. There's your tall corner, which is perfect. He is a perfect Bill Belichick corner. You add Marte Mapu to that defense. You can put out pass run. You can put out pass situations where you have Keon White, Josh Uche, and Matt Judon in the front. You can have Marte Mapu playing linebacker and Kyle Duggar, who is very quietly one of the best safeties in the league. He is awesome to watch because he just does everything. That defense is going to once again be phenomenal. The question is, can Bill O'Brien get some more confidence in the Mac Jones? I think Mac Jones needs to get a little bit of his swagger back because I think he did struggle last year, but so much of being a young quarterback has to do with the environment that you're in. We saw it with Tua. The environment that he was in before Mike McDaniel was not great. You put him in a better environment with a better person who actually knows what to do and is a functioning adult who knows how to run an NFL offense. You saw what happens. I think Bill O'Brien is a functioning adult who knows how to run an NFL offense, which is a major step up from where they were last year. I think the offense just needs to – I think they need to get to a higher level than, like, say, the Jets, because the quarterback is a lot better. But if you can get the most out of Mac Jones, you can make the playoffs with this team because that defense is amazing. But that's the biggest question. The reason they won't make – or they won't win the Super Bowl is Mac Jones just ain't it. That's really the big question here. Was last year more of a blip because of the coordinator, or was it the sign of a downward trend? Coming into the draft that Mac Jones was drafted in, I thought at his best he would be kind of a Kirk plus, or maybe like a Kirk light. I don't think he's Kirk heavy. I think he's more of a Kirk or a Kirk light.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how much you can win with a Kirk light, So unless
I also
Bill
think it's like
O'Brien-
hard to lose a lot with a Kirk light.
It
That's
is.
the thing.
It is. It's very hard to lose with a Kirk light because Kirk Cousins is always going to win you like 7 games.
Yeah.
He is, I think, like in his entire career, he has never lost. Like, I don't think he's ever like lost double-digit games.
That's something Evan gets to look forward to when he's quarterbacking his 49ers next year.
But
It's going to happen.
Just begrudgingly accepting the fate.
Yeah.
I just wonder, like, is what Mac Jones was last year, is that a concerning trend?
Yeah.
Is the confidence gone? And that's the first thing Bill O'Brien needs to do. Give him back some confidence and give him an offense that suits his strengths. Mac Jones is a smart guy. He knows how to get from 1 to 2 to 3. I think when you get him in an RPO kind of offense where you can get the ball out quick to the playmakers, he can throw the ball between the hashes some. I don't think he's going to stretch the field much, but you can make something out of it. It's just, is Mac Jones' confidence shot? And if it is, then you're not going anywhere because that's supposed to be the guy.
I like it. Jarrett, what do you think? Ultimately, you and Evan, do they have a chance at making the Super Bowl? Winning the Super Bowl? No. I don't think so either. No. I don't think there's a path for them.
No.
You look at that conference and all the quarterback talent and the rosters that are there. Like, I'm not taking – I'll give JP the credit of the defense is going to be good. It was good last year and everything like that. JP and I did a power ranking show not that long ago, and I said the Patriots were like 25th. They almost punched me through the screen. Like, I get that the defense is good. But, like, I don't think that there's a defensive coordinator in the world who's laying up, staring at the ceiling like, how the hell am I going to stop Mac Jones and Juju Smith-Schuster or Mac Jones and Tyquan Thornton? Like, I think that at his best, he's, the 18th, like somewhere in the middle of the league at his very best. And when you look at that conference you look at that division with the Bills, the Dolphins, and the Jets, who are all going to be, I think all are going to be good and contending for playoff spots. I think that Belichick will keep them good enough and have them have their floor higher than what it would be if he wasn't there. But I don't know, man. This feels like a 7-win team again to me. I just don't.
I think their ceiling is playoff team. Like,
yeah.
They're a wild card team. And that's what you get with Mac Jones. I think Mac Jones is, at his best, a playoff quarterback. That's not saying, like, he's going to win you a lot of games in the playoffs. Like, he's a Super Bowl quarterback, but he can get you to the playoffs. You can win with Mac Jones. But once you get to the playoffs, you need to win because of your quarterback. I don't know if Mac Jones is that guy. So I don't think they can win the Super Bowl just because at the offense's best, how good is it going to be?
I like it. Jarrett, what can the good folks check out from you all over the internet this week?
If you're listening to this, my power rankings are out and released. A little bit adjusted since the last time I released any sort of graphic, but that will be on USA Today. Did like a whole type up of it. So 32-1, my power rankings. Those will be out. I talked to you guys about this before. I kind of teased it. It's been confirmed, so I think I can say this publicly. September-ish, I think it's kind of like we still have to do the Zoom call and everything, but I'm doing a feature story on Michael Vick, and it's going to be very, very fun, and I'm very excited about it. So that'll be a big old highlight for me, and I'm looking forward to going to Los Angeles and seeing the legend himself and getting that done. So that'll be coming in the next couple months. And then YouTube-wise, watch the tape on Justin Herbert. It's just going to be me salivating for like 15 minutes. It'll be fun. I think that's all from me right now. Go listen to the Pump Take. Amy Trask, Ross Jackson. The last 2 episodes, Eric Eager as well from Sumer Sports. Those are the last 3 episodes. They have all come out in the past 4-ish days. So go listen to all of those.
There you go. JP, what about you? Over on sbnation.com and also the Athletic NFL show. If you did not listen this week, go listen to that as well.
Yeah, I got a bunch of stuff about college football. Got a whole bunch of columns, or got a column probably coming out tomorrow. And just gonna be getting ready for football season. Get ready for season 2 of Establish the Fun. We got to make sure the encore is just as good as the first one. So we're gearing up for that. Gonna be publishing some scouting reports that I have. Some early NFL draft stuff. Gonna be doing some big scheme things with my buddy Mark Schofield over at SB Nation, and maybe I'll be appearing on random podcasts. I'll pop up. So just follow me on Twitter at Acosta32_JP and just see what I'm doing.
There you go, Evan at Evan Sowards everywhere.
No, it's Evan.Sowards on Threads.
Okay.
Which, dear God, can the NFL community please start using it more, because
Absolutely not.
It is tough out here. That algorithm is just straight up like it wants to be memes and like influencers. It's clearly they released it way too early, but I'm very excited for Twitter to die, even though that's where all of my following is. I'm okay with it. I will make that sacrifice. Please, can we start using the Threads?
I don't think it's gonna happen.
I got news for you, buddy. It ain't happening.
First off, they had 500 million or something? Yeah, it is happening. It's just a matter of getting the algorithm fixed, which they went early.
I will continue to post my joke a day.
I appreciate it.
That man needs stopped, by the way.
By the way, JP,
Someone needs to stop JP Acosta.
It's day 4 or whatever, and I woke up this morning and I'm like, good morning, fam. Let's get this thread. It was such a fun thing the second and first day, and now I'm just like, I'm already over the app.
I post that joke and then I'm just off the app.
I just want there to be a place that we could talk about sports and maybe the occasional nerd shit.
It's called Twitter.
Without there being Nazis.
Oh, well, that would be that's nice thinking, isn't it?
So we'll see. Other than that, check out these beautiful men and all of their content, because I'm lazy. This is what you're gonna get.
You're not lazy. You're out here. Like, you spend more time out. Like, you're getting shots poured. Like, you're doing shots with your buddies. You're just, like, out at the pool, and your girlfriend's giving you shots. And I'm just, like, I'm hurting for Evan. I'm just, like, I know what's going to happen on Sunday.
They were pouring Don Julio 1942 tequila in my mouth at a pool party. Thank you very much. Not shots.
That's basically a shot.
Out of the bottle.
Okay.
Of 1942. You're right. And as you could tell, I'm a tired old man. It is hard out here. Stay in the country. Stay away from the cities. Go on a nice walk with Chase and carry him because he's got a broken knee.
Broken knee, broken foot. I'm just getting old. I'm going to be walking around with a cane sooner rather than later. But thank you.
Intermittent fasting. That's another thing I did.
That might kill me. I don't think I can
break his other knee.
Yeah, no, that actually might just kill me. I don't think I can afford to. I've been 5'11", 135 for 15 years, and I think I got to probably keep that going until.
Are you still 135 right now?
Yeah.
Jarrett, have you tried slowing?
Have I tried
slowing? Because you're doing fasting.
Hey, we'll see that joke tomorrow morning on Threads.
Damn right.
See you there, everyone.
Jarrett, JP, Evan, thank you, and I'll talk to y'all next week.
Well done, nephew. Chase Thomas Podcast. Hell yeah.